Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Writers Realm. I guess I won't start over. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Writers Realm podcast, and thanks for joining us on the epic adventure we call writing. We're your hosts,
Holly Robilliard.
Austin Matthews.
and Bob Dutto, and today we're going to be talking about AI, friend, foe, or just a tool. That sounds very exciting. Thank you for Holly bringing that one up for us.
Very provocative.
Yes, marketing genius. That's
Do
Holly.
what I can, guys.
Yeah, you're awesome. Because we have no clue what we're going to talk about usually 5 minutes before. And anyway, let's catch us up on where we've been, what we're working on. Austin, you said you're writing earlier. What are you writing?
So I was working on my sci-fi trolley problem story, and just got kind of lost in it and nearly missed our recording session because I was so lost in an exciting part of it. So I was like, oh, I should probably set a timer for these things in the future.
Nice. And is this your first draft or what is this?
This is I have a weird drafting system, so this will be my first full actual draft.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Nice. And Holly, what have you been up to?
I'm still working on the Blood Sky right now. I think I touched on it before, but I decided I was going to scrap, I think, the first 10 or 12 chapters of my book. And then got through until chapter 35. And I just realized that, I had a character that wasn't really doing a whole lot for me, but was still incorporated pretty heavily into the story. And then I just decided I wanted to scrap him. And so I went back to the beginning again, still on my first draft, and tightened up, took him out and tightened up the plot and changed a few things so that, the weight was carried by my main characters instead of him as a side character. And so I've just been hammering through that. So now I've kind of made it up to where I'm back to writing again. So I'm super excited because I had a horrible break where I just didn't really feel like writing.
Yeah.
And now I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I can't wait to sit down and get through this. I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think
How about you, Bob?
Maybe in a future podcast we could talk about that, when writers take breaks and stuff like that. So, because I definitely have taken a very, very long break, 2 or 3 months of not writing a whole lot. But I started yesterday, and just like you, Holly, it got exciting. Well, I mean, Austin too is all excited about writing. It's just really neat, and I was a little worried that I was going to just. I felt like I might have been lost in there, but I caught myself up so fast with the plots and developments, and so I was kind of working on background stuff. I have a killer in my book, and I hadn't really fleshed out his whole reasons, just very, very basic reasons, but I went ahead and wrote out 2, 3 pages of just his story and what he's up to, his motivations and all that, just for background for myself. So that was fantastic stuff. So AI, friend, foe, or just a tool?
Okay.
Where should we start? Austin wants to start.
Yeah. So I've been doing a little bit of an experiment, and by a little bit of an experiment, I mean I've been doing a lot of experimenting. So okay, I feel like I need to ease myself into this conversation instead of just jumping in. So when you're writing a book, how do you feel about just tools in general? Do y'all use technology tools or anything?
For a book?
Yeah, like word processors. What sort of tools do you like to have in there, or do you like it stripped down?
No, I like Thesaurus. I use Thesaurus. I use Emotional Thesaurus. That may be it. Maybe I'm too basic.
Do you use Google?
Yeah, I
Google,
use a combination.
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
No, I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I use Google because my books are set in 1890s, so I need to know if a zipper existed yet or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I use Google if I'm trying to research some physical books that I use. Lately, I've been using YouTube because if I can't fully immerse myself into a scene, I love listening to the lakeside or something that's related to it so I can kind of get into it. And then I love using things like I think it was Pro Writing Aid that I was using for a while. Although that
Mhm.
kind of psyched me out a little bit because the like comparison of the you to other authors and then,
Oh yeah.
your sentence length and stuff kind of really threw me off of my game. So didn't love that one in the end. But yeah,
Yeah.
we use tools.
Yeah. So actually, on that point, Holly, I like the ones that are like, "Hey, I'll take a chunk of your writing and tell you who you're like," as opposed to like, "Hey, here's how to match so and so." And it's like I don't enjoy that, but it's like I don't know something about it telling me that I'm right like James Joyce, and then I go and read James Joyce, and I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this. um, but yeah, so like I think it's super interesting, and something that like why I bring this up is that I was listening to a lot of people on YouTube talk about what role they think AI should have in the writing process or the creative process, and the number of people that are like AI should have nothing to do with any part of my creative process, and I was like, okay, but like that's such a black and white stance that it's kind of ridiculous because unless you're turning off spell check and grammar check and not using Google and not doing any of these things, AI has a part in your creative process. And we just need to be honest, at least on that base level, that that is also AI.
Okay.
And I think most of us are comfortable with spell check.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, where is the line and why is the line there?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, authentic voice and those kind of things. Like we spend so much of our time developing that. And so like when I think about even being a visual artist, so my first degree is in drawing and painting. And so the thing is it's really hard to draw something realistically. And we had a projection room because it was totally normal to have photographs of something that you pulled off of the internet or took yourself and project that onto a canvas and then sketch it. And then you paint over it. And so use it as your framework to get started. But then the entire creative expression is yours. You had the idea, used it, a tool in the middle, and then you also finished it off.
Yeah, Norman Rockwell is very famous for using projection. You'd photograph the models exactly how he wanted the scene. Mm-hmm. He'd print it and then he would project it up on this huge canvas and trace everything and then paint it. So yeah, it's a very, very common practice.
Yeah, and so like we've had technology like that, like camera obscuras for I don't remember how long, but super old.
Yep.
And so it's the thing is like when is AI a tool and when are we just having it write stuff for us? And so I started thinking about it in that same scope of like, okay, what if I took all of my world building and trained AI with it and had a general plot, asked it some questions, used it kind of like Google, but it's more specifically tailored to my story, knows everything about my world that I've told it. And then whenever it makes mistakes about my world, I can correct it. And then as I'm going forward, I don't have to go through my manuscript and go, crap, what color was, Xanar's eyes? I can just ask it, hey, what color was Xanar's eyes? And he's like, oh, dude, it's blue. Don't worry about it. And like, it's kind of a really nice tool for that. And so the question then is like, okay, at what point does it become part of the creative process and takes over? I don't know. What are y'all thoughts so far on that?
I see it a lot right now. It's a hot topic. Like we thought it was a hot topic like a while ago, but it is like my LinkedIn right now is like I'm constantly like I don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to see this anymore. Because like every other, writer or publisher or whoever it is, whether it's in the book world or in marketing that I have a professional life in, everyone is saying like, this is why AI is so bad. And, oh, look at this M dash, and if you use M dashes, then this is clearly all written by AI. And so I think that the answer lies in understanding the platform that you're using, how the information is obtained originally. And I think it really comes down to how you're prompting it. And so we can get more into that later, but there's a difference between saying like, pumping in Act 1 and saying, do you see any plot holes in Act 1 versus what should I write for Act 2?
Yeah.
Right. And so because you don't want it to be telling you what to write, you can say something like, is this in my character's voice? Why or why not? Don't say, put this in my character's voice. right? Because if you use it, like you're saying, as a tool, you have to prompt it in a way that it's going to educate you when it gives you an answer, because that's going to make you a better writer versus, the way that everyone thinks that people use AI is like, write me a 500-word novel that I can publish tomorrow. And then they think that this novel just appears out of nowhere, right?
Right.
So I don't know. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, we can't deny the use of Grammarly, even though I did shut mine
Mhm.
off. It was getting very annoying, so I just shut it off. But Grammarly is it's an AI tool. Spell check, yeah. Yeah, there's all these little. So I feel like I'm probably very, very cautious about just asking ChatGPT or something similar. Like you said, Holly, like, you know,
Mhm.
um, should I have my vampire hero do this or that? Like, and then it's going to come up with some answer, of course. And you're going to go, oh, wow, yeah. But like, how about if you discover it? Like, this is what that for me, since I'm a discovery writer, I enjoy I'm sorry to say, yeah, running into pitfalls, running into dead ends because I need to work my way out of it. I think the lazy way would be to ask an AI tool to go, hey, what's a better plot device or what's a foolproof, MacGuffin to get my story flowing. But like, that's a huge shortcut. And I feel like, would it work? You know what? It probably is going to work, but you're definitely not a stronger writer because of it. I mean,
Exactly.
I enjoy that. Now, with this is with a caveat, like I would encourage other writers to work on their own stuff like that, but I'm not going to judge you. Okay, like if you're like, hey, I use it all the time for that. Oh, cool. Hey, if it works for you, then that's great. Like I'm not gonna, but I'm just saying for me, I would rather and I've done that so many times. I've told you guys ad nauseum. My first book took like 8 revisions to go through, and I feel like these days, if somebody wanted to just jump on one of these AI tools, there would be no revisions probably. like, but like I'm a better writer. I mean, I'm trying to tell you guys like, okay, here, this is the way I see it. This is the way I see it, and
Mhm.
everyone, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, one guy goes into the gym like I've been doing for the past month, and I'm lifting weights, and I'm getting bigger. I'm seeing results. I'm doing it over and over. I'm consistent. Okay. And then somebody else just says, I mean, that's too hard. I don't have any time. I'm going to get some injections, or I'm going to get like, they just all of a
Mhm.
sudden have this huge chest and these big arms, but like there's nothing there. Like they didn't work for it.
Hmm.
So that's the way I kind of see it. Like I want to use AI. I do use AI tools to help me along but not like I'm leaning into it and I can't live without it. You know,
Mhm.
like let's pretend there's no more internet. That's all gone. Okay, it's just you and your keyboard. Are you going to be a writer or not? Or are you just gonna, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think that's
and I
probably
think
too
it's
much. But
no, but I think that's a really good point. Is like the things that you. I mean, I hate to make the comparison to the movie Click, but like the things that you're skipping through are going to just kind of pass you by, and you're not going to get better at those. And
yeah,
so I think that's the important thing that you need to consider is like, am I worried about getting better at spelling at this point in my life? No, not really. So spell check,
yeah,
fine. I don't.
yeah.
Am I always going to struggle with the word receive? Yes, yes, I am, and it's fine. I know. I'm whatever. It's fine. I before E except after C is such a complicated and convoluted rule. I don't like it. Um, but yeah, so like I think that's the thing is like what you work at, you will become better at. And so with your limited time, do you want to focus on spelling or do you want to focus on having an authentic voice and those kind of things and like creating an interesting world, especially as speculative fiction writers, like having that, like if I was to go into, ChatGPT and go, hey, create like a cool universe for me in a sci-fi fantasy world, like that would feel like not just cheating the readers, but like that's the fun part. And like
Hmm.
that's the part I love. And so the idea of me just going like, I don't have time for this. Like that's too hard. But like that's the fun part. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so I think there are the ways that you can use it where it's like spell check, where it's a tool, because it's taking over something that, really there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And it doesn't actually matter if I'm the one doing it or if the computer's doing it for me. I mean, there might be some purist out there that's like, no, I look up every word I don't know how to spell. But like, really? Who? And so like, if I'm also like trying to write a new genre, like I might use it to ask questions. Like I was looking at, okay, what things do I need to keep in mind if I'm writing a, police procedural versus a whodunit? Like those are, important distinctions. I could go Google that, but also I could have a more conversational, interaction with ChatGPT to get that answer and then go, oh, that makes sense, or that doesn't make sense. Let me go do some more research. And I think that's kind of where I see it as a tool. But yeah, you're right. If you're not doing the work, you're not going to get better.
Yeah, and we're all learning. Everyone's learning. Like if it's your first time writing, you're learning. It's Austin's written how many? 27, 25, 30 books or something. Like seriously, you've written a lot, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that I fed it 80,000 words of world building, and I still was like, okay, let's see if it can write something. And turns out, nope, still don't like what comes out. Even after 80,000 words of world building, it still doesn't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the trick of it too, right? Like, so a lot of the problem I think people have with AI as well is this belief that AI, the algorithm, is created based on stolen works. Now, there are some companies out there who have created AI algorithms that have done that. However, there are some that are more well known that have abided by the laws. They only pull that information from public domain. And so anything that is publicly available, they have, it uses, and it doesn't just say, okay, I've read 3 fantasy books. Now I know, how to write a novel, right? That's not, it's all kinds of different books from all kinds of different genres. It understands patterns is how AI is trained. It understands patterns. So if you start a sentence like, she went to turn left, but, she went to turn left, but turned right instead, but turned around, right? And so it starts to kind of come up with these different ideas of way things can go. But what's important to remember about that is that when it gives you back the information that you're writing, or when you prompt it for something and it gives you that information, so ChatGPT, for example, doesn't keep the information stored in its database that it recalled that information from. So it can't spit something to you that has already been written for somebody else, because it only understands the patterns, not the actual context of whatever it's looking at. So I think like people are constantly afraid that, if I use this or if I use AI, then it's going to, I submit my novel somewhere, then it's going to be like, oh, you plagiarize, right? And you shouldn't be using it to write novels, right? But also, that is not how AI works, at least for the more well-known models that actually adhere to some sort of standard.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, is that my master's degree is in data analytics, and like I learned how to create large language models like as part of my degree. So I could technically just train it on my own writing, but also to Bob's point, it would never get any better than the average of my books that I submit to it, which means it would be, if I've been writing books for 10 years, it's as good as me 5 years ago. Like that's not what I want to be putting out in the world. And then I'm never going to get any better. So it's like, okay, not only is it worse than I am right now because it's an average of what I submit to it, but it's never going to get better than that.
Yeah. I think it can be a good tool as well. I know we always talk about beta readers, right? It can be so hard sometimes to find a beta reader who's actually going to sit down and read your novel and who's going to pay enough attention to it that they're going to notice some holes. And that, I think it can be a really helpful tool for that, because you can put in some chapters or, throw in the first act or whatever it may be and say, can you identify any major plot holes in this? Or what do you see as plot holes? And you can prompt it as if you are, take a list that you would normally hand to your beta reader and, input that and prompt it with those questions. Because at that point, you're not taking away from someone who you would have paid for something, right? Because you're, most of the time you're not paying your beta readers, and you're asking the same questions that you would have asked that beta reader. So at that point, the responses it's giving you are more kind of the same feedback that you would have gotten from a regular person. And so they're not like, your beta reader is not coming back to you and saying, oh, well, I didn't like this line, but try this one instead, So I think it can be really helpful for situations like that, because again, it's where those plot holes are, and then you have to take that information and go back to the drawing board and figure that out for yourself.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I didn't even know. I didn't think. I don't. I'm what we call a boomer, so I don't really look into these things. I just stick with the flip phones and everything.
Yeah.
But that's a great way. I think that'd be a fantastic use of an AI tool just to get some feedback. Like you did the work. Hey, what do you see here, kind of thing. Now, nothing's going to be like a real editor or a real person reading it either. But it's quick, right? I mean, you're going to get the feedback within probably a few seconds. I mean, maybe, probably, versus like you said. I mean, for my first book, I went and I found 16 beta readers, and I only got 4 back. I only got feedback from 4 of them. Like, that was ridiculous. So props to that tool.
Yeah, and I think again, like for me, I will use it for something like that. I will still send my book out once, after I've done so many drafts and revised it, I'm still going to send it out to beta readers. That's absolutely still going to happen because I still want real eyes on it, but it's helping you get it to that point, and it's helping you develop yourself as a writer and getting it to that point that when you send it to your beta readers, they're not like, oh, well, you need to redo half of the book because of all these major plot holes that you missed, right? They're actually able to pick up on some of those finer things that you would want a regular writer to be focused on.
Right. Or boring. Like, some of my questions are, is there any part of this story that's boring, or any of the characters boring? I don't know if what do you think? You think this AI tool will be able to pick that up or not? Or I have no idea. Because now
that might be hit or miss. I mean, depends on which one you're using. They can kind of understand tone and everything, and we actually use tone recognition and those kind of things in my work to understand whenever clients or customers are angry and those kind of things. So it can pick up on just from word usage, not even from like volume would be really obvious on a phone call, but like it's just like, hey, they sound like their words sound a little sarcastic or whatever. So it can pick up on all that too.
Yeah, because one thing we do as writers, we want to include obviously emotions. We want the reader to engage in the story through emotions, right? And we're not going to use, oh, he was sad or he was angry, or like, we want them to really pick up, like, his shoulders were slouched and he's looking down at his feet and he's just trudging along, So that's something like a human definitely would be able to pick up. I don't know if a AI tool would. Probably. I have no idea.
I think too, that's another great example of a way that you can use it is to prompt yourself, right? So something that's completely not related to your story. If you put in, throw something in there, write a paragraph out, or a scene, write a whole chapter if you need to, and throw it in there, and then ask it questions, right? Like, what is the pacing like in this? Am I hitting the right emotional beats? Or how would you critique this? If you were a high level, developmental editor, what would you critique about this? Or if you were doing a line by line pass, what would be your comments? And then from there, you can take it and be like, oh, well, all my pacing, it's incredibly slow here and super fast here. Well, then why? Or throw in your writing and say, based on this, what areas of my writing do you feel like I need to work on?
And I think too, like you hit on a really important thing, is that asking it to play a specific role is actually super important to, like, it can understand that, and it can start to pick up on, like, okay, I'm putting on my developmental editor hat and it plays this role really well. And so it'll give you feedback, because it's like, instead of having all of existence to pull from, it's like, okay, let me narrow my focus, and it starts to predict what a developmental editor would say. And so like it does require you to actually get a lot of experience and practice with the tool to get a good response out of it. And I think that's something too, like I think about as somebody that comes out of a visual arts background, is like, I know a lot of people that are like super upset with Photoshop, because like I came out of an oil painting background, and it's like, we spend so long painting something, and then people are like, go take a photo, do a couple of cool effects in Photoshop. But guess what? If you go in and in 30 seconds you add a glowing edges effect, nobody cares. It's boring. It's horrible. But like as you get into it, you understand there's a lot of skill that goes into using Photoshop. And like, I don't know, in its own way, like photography, and like photography, obviously art, but like then Photoshop itself is also art. And I think that's where my mind is like, while I am a writer in the same way that I am a painter, I can respect Photoshop people. And I'm wondering how long it's going to be before I respect good AI users. I don't know. Like, at what point do I respect the amount of skill it takes to actually produce something good out of this tool? Because if you've just, jerked around with it a little bit, the results are pretty terrible if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, you hit on visual, and I wanted to talk because I've been dying to talk about covers. Because
you say cups?
Yeah, no, I said cups. That's right, AI cups. Let's talk about AI cups and mugs.
Cups. I mean, cups are a thing. It's weird.
Yeah. AI covers.
Covers.
Yeah, cover your book covers. I have definitely seen them. I was just shocked. Like, they really do? Oh, of course they're going to do that because it's practically free. I belong to a AI art generator, I guess we call it, and it's $8 a month. So it does cost nothing. And I have used it for my own, and we have brought this up before. I've used it to create my own characters, so I know what they look like. It's a lot easier than running out there and finding somebody and taking a picture of them or whatever. Most of the time, we will just create a Pinterest board and actors, actresses, but this AI art can generate all kinds of fun stuff. But then you're using it as a cover too. So what do you guys think about that? AI covers for authors.
That's
nobody answers.
I think that's really tough. So I think that there's a fine line, and again, it comes down to I would never want to take the job of an artist, right? Like that's very important to me. We all have a role to play in this industry, and if there's someone who makes a living off cover art, then I don't want a program to take their job. With that being said, if I'm a new author and maybe I can't afford to have a nice cover done or something like that, then, I would probably feel more comfortable going and, asking AI, like, I would like this, you'd like to have this. But with that being said, I would never say, okay, now I have it and that's what I'm using as my cover. Like for me, it's the same thing kind of as it is with character art, right? Like you prompt it and you kind of get sort of what you're looking for, but you're actually spending time and effort to then modify those images, change things, whether it's the font or you're changing the color of something or you're adding scars or blood or, whatever it may be. You're still changing it in a way, and in a significant way that you're not just like, here, off of ChatGPT and onto my book cover.
Yeah. That's like, but I feel like that's probably the main point is that it's practically free versus, back a few years, I was trying to get a guy to do a cover and he's like $1,000. I'm like, well, never mind. He did great work, but like $1,000 versus, like I said, $8 a month. Of course we're going to pick the $8 a month,
Yeah.
Because it looks great
here's
too,
the thing. I think it's one of those things. If it's not within your means to pay for a cover artist, like I don't want to shame somebody for doing it. Like, yeah, it's there. It's not going to be as good as an actual artist. Like that's just the fact, especially if you want a person or hands in particular on there with the right number of fingers. Then you're going to have an actual artist instead of one of the, AI tools to do that. And like, I think there will be a time where it's a little bit, they can get it all exactly how you want, but it's again one of those things, like there's a certain level of like being able to write a good prompt to get a good response that, like, honestly, I've tried using AI art and I was like, it would have been faster just for me to do it. Like I have an art background. Like, I should have just done it because I spent 20 hours trying to get an image to look just the way I wanted. And that's just for something for me to look at while I'm writing,
Yeah.
not even for a cover. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I just wasted a bunch of time. It was fun, but like, it was a big
I
waste of time.
I feel like until you have tried to go on to like an AI image creator and tried to make Fey ears happen on your character, then you don't understand the pain that is creating. Because if you go and you ask it for like little elven ears, like half the time they're coming out like 10 feet long or, you
Yeah.
know, coming out of their nose or, you know,
Right.
like it's, and then, of course, you finally get that prompted right, but then you get the great image with the ears, but now suddenly their jaw is like duplicated over here. And it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's so sensitive that I think it's also important to consider that, like, it's here, right?
Yeah.
This is a tool that
Yeah.
is
That's
here.
true.
It's not going away. It will never go away. People are going to learn how to use it. And eventually, one day, you know, there is going to be an industry where there are people who are paid to create AI art
Mhm.
for the world.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the reality that we
Hmm.
live in. And so it's like, do you want to fight it or do you want to find a comfortable way to utilize it that's going to help you without hurting somebody else?
Yeah. And
Right.
I'm just going to say, as an artist, we should respect other artists, but you should also be within your means, like live within your means. Like, if it's a hobby, you don't need to pay somebody $2,000 to do your book cover. You can go on Fiverr and find somebody for like $50. It might not
Mhm.
be great. It might not even be as good as AI. Who knows? But like, if that's what you can afford, that's what you can afford. And like, that's great if you have the ability to do that. But if it's your first book and you're just publishing it because some people asked for it, honestly, who cares? Like, I'm going to be that guy. I
Well, and
don't super care.
I think too, as long as you're not taking somebody else's book cover and dropping it into the AI thing and being like, can you make me a cover just like this or similar to this, right? Then, you know, if you're at least prompting it in a way that you're like, you know, trying to create something more original or like a scene from your novel or something like that, that's, you know, you're prompting it based off of what you think would make a great cover for you, then I think that makes so much of a difference versus like, oh, I liked so and so's cover, so give me that cover but in a different color,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Holly. Like, just think of, like digital cameras, and all you had to do is put it on one of those SD cards and plug it in your computer, upload the photos. And Kodak, all those little, I don't know, 1 hour, booths, that took care of your film. They're all out of business. I mean, they weren't. I don't know. They weren't going along with the program. And you're right, Holly. Like, for writing, for just about anything. But we're talking about writing and book covers, and probably editing too. Like, it is here to stay. So it would be a detriment if we didn't learn at least how to work with it, because
Yeah.
you're going to get left in the dust, because it really is. I mean, I'm on Mid Journey. That's the one I belong to. I'm looking at all
Mhm.
these pictures that are generated, and all of them are just blowing my mind. They're just so insanely, because you can get like a painterly effect. You can get like a graphic arts. You can get photographic quality. It's just
Mhm.
absolutely insane, and none of it looks hardly fake. It's just all crazy, beautiful stuff. So yeah,
And
unfortunately,
I
like
would,
that. Not unfortunately, but like that's where we're going. We're definitely heading in that direction.
yeah. And I would say that like one of the big things for me thinking about all of this is to look back to the past and see like this isn't the first time we've had major upheavals in the creative space. Like, think about like industrialization and mechanization in like late 1800s. Like, we literally had mass productions of silverware for the first time, that somebody physically had to make that before.
Mhm.
And it like is one of those things, like it was able to take up some of these things where we were having this skilled labor mass produce things,
Yeah.
and so we didn't get the finery, and now it avails those people of the time so they can focus on those things. And so I think, okay, I don't have to put out some generic novel because nobody's going to read that anymore. because I can just go to ChatGPT and ask for a generic novel. So what is something that's so buck wild that only Austen is ever going to create it? And like get as weird and niche as you can with it, because that's what's going to, I feel like that's what's being driven right now is like, there's an unlimited supply of generic novels now. So go as wild as you want.
Nice. I like that.
Hence,
so when is it
horror.
Yeah. When is AI a foe?
I think when you're asking it, if you put in a chapter and you say, make this in my character's voice, or in this chapter, like with sensory experiences, or something like that, where you're not putting the thought into how those characters interact. I think that that's when it becomes a bit of a faux pas, and it also does you a disservice, right? Because as we know, it can understand the patterns, and it understands algorithm. The algorithm understands those patterns. Sorry, and it kind of understands how those things are supposed to look. But at the same time, you're visualizing that scene in your mind. It's not visualizing that scene, so it might tell you like, "Oh, she smelt wood smoke and cinnamon," right? But that could be something that's completely not related to your character at all. Like, why do they smell like wood smoke? They're a fisherman, or like, you have to make sure that you're paying attention to those things, because those are things that matter to readers, right? That pull them into the story. So I think asking AI to just put that information in there for you is useless, first of all, because it's not going to give you a good experience. And also, you need to be doing that work yourself, because you need to flesh out those scenes, you need to flesh out those characters, and you have to put in the work.
I want to go a little bit more existential about when it becomes your foe. The idea of going back and reading an earlier draft and seeing a really solid sentence and going, I don't know if I wrote that or if AI wrote it.
Oh.
That is a level of existential dread I don't want to type, to welcome into my writing. And so, like, if you do use it as like a person who actually cares about the art and the craft of it, like if you do use it, like you have to, for your own sake, I feel like have some really, really hard lines of like, okay, I'm going to prompt it, I'm going to ask some questions, but like everything that ends up on a page in my Word document or whatever document processor you're using has to be written by me. And like, but that's just for me. Like, I would be horrified.
That was my favorite thing. And, I notice the difference in my writing now compared to my first novel. My first one has a lot of your typical, like, she shrugged, he nodded, beginner writer things that we don't really realize. And I notice it, but I also love picking up my book and flipping to some random page and just reading through it. And then like I get excited and I get chills all over because I read something that there's funny banter or something that the character picked up on that nobody else did. And I love that because it reminds me sometimes like I wrote this and that's really freaking cool.
Yeah.
And you don't have that if you have something that's written with AI. Yeah. And as much as I complain that I see on LinkedIn when people have the M dash or you have, you're writing in 1, 2, 3, like this, and this. So that's not a clear identifier that something's been written by AI because that's proper writing. But don't, as a regular writer, you're not going to be doing that every 3 lines, right? You're going to say like this, and this, and then, at a later time, you might do a 1, 2, 3 again, but it's not like this, and this, and then the next line, or this, and this, right? Yeah. And so it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting, though, to go through and find out what your interesting, weird, bad habits are. Because like I do have a few sentence structures that I do have that are bad habits that I guess are just now a part of my voice because I like doing them. Yeah. Like double metaphors are like my favorite thing. So it's like, it was like this, but maybe it was also like this. And it's just like, especially writing like auteur, like the idea that you can't grasp what it is, like,
Right.
is just, it's so fun. But yeah.
Yeah. I think yeah, you're right, Helly. Like going back over my book, sometimes you read it and you just, that emotion that when I was writing and I
Mm,
wrote it, and then it's translated, back to me, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is freaking awesome. But I
hmm
feel like what AI, we want to use it as a tool, not like to write the thing for you. There's no soul to it. It
Mhm.
doesn't, you know what I mean? Like we're humans and we want to write stories about all kinds of different things. But as readers, we're also human and we want to read about this stuff. So like there's some soul there that the author left on the pages that AI can't do. It can't
mm,
replicate any of that. I mean, you said
man.
tone. You
Mm,
said tone, and it can, like, oh, angry, sad. Okay, what is this? What am I reading here? Is what the AI is, but there's no soul to it. And that's, I feel like that when we're talking about voice, when we're talking about our own little adding, our own little bits of this and that and the other, that's that makes us human, and it's
hmm
and it's neat, right? I love
Yeah.
that when I read other people's stuff, and there's just something to that, and it just connects, like to my heart or soul or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
that's what would be missing. I feel like if we're using AI so much that now it's a foe because it's soulless.
hmm Yeah.
Mhm.
And you just reminded me of something. So, sure, y'all know Jackson Pollock, splatter painting, all that
Mhm.
stuff. And here's the thing: I don't think it's beautiful, but he spent a lot of time doing them. And what a lot of people don't realize is he smoked through the entire thing. So he's spending hours with these like canvases all spread out on his floor, spreading the paint, just smoking, dropping them. And so, like, if you go and look at Jackson Pollock's, every once in a while, you might see a cigarette butt in the painting because it's just a snippet of his life. And so
Right.
you talk about leaving your soul in your work. Like,
Yeah.
you're not buying paint splattered on a canvas when you buy a Jackson Pollock or look at a Jackson Pollock. You're
Mm.
looking at a section of that person's life, and that's
Mm.
what makes it valuable. So yes, you can write a book quickly with AI, but that's not what people are there for. They're
Yeah.
not there to read some random book. They're there to read a book that you wrote
Right.
because it's about human connection. Despite introverts sitting alone in rooms reading books, like, we're thirsting for connection.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to, if I wanted to read an AI slot book, I could just go ask it to read me a book instead of
Mhm.
paying somebody to go do that for me.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be used as a tool to help you learn and not as a replacement for your creativity.
Mhm.
And again, like I can't recommend it enough for like when you're stuck or when you need help learning. ChatGPT just came out with, I think it's like 5.0 model. And it's now will like give you links for resources right in the response. So like you can say like, read this, write out a paragraph and say, based on this paragraph, what areas of my writing do you think that I need to work on? And
Yeah.
then where can I find resources to do that? And it will pump you out like 5, 10, however many you ask for, websites where you could maybe go, or maybe it will recommend, you could really use more connection with your character, go purchase the emotion thesaurus, and so that I think is going to help people eventually get a little bit more comfortable with it. But again, it comes back to how you use it. If you're asking
Mm-hmm.
it to rewrite this so that it's more emotional, no, no, no. If you're asking this, what am I struggling with? Oh, I need more character emotion. How can I get better at doing that? Or give me prompts, 5 prompts right now that I can work on to like get myself in the habit of doing that more. I recently learned about like deep POV, which apparently is very different than just like your regular sensory experience. And I didn't really know that. And so that's been a really fun exercise for me is just like give me prompts that I can work on to, become a better writer when it comes or to get more immersed in my scenes or to have my characters interact with the scenes more. And so I'm starting to pay more attention to the scenes that I'm writing and like, oh yeah, I bet that character would probably be reaching for this at this point.
Mm.
Whereas you don't ever get that information in your brain if you're just
Hmm.
like, make this more deep PV. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now, are you using Chat GPT for that one, or something else?
I usually do. I have used the other one, I think it's called Claude or Cloud or something like that. I used that for a client that had wanted, specifically had asked us to use that, which was crazy. I didn't love it at all. I definitely don't think that I liked it as much. What I do think is really funny about ChatGPT is it has this uncanny way of pulling out your mannerisms
Hmm.
and it will feed them back to you. And I think this
Mm-hmm.
is hilarious. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but I have a friend who used to always say like, "Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that." And at some point, I started
We did
saying
talk
it.
about
I started saying it to the point where my husband's like, "Okay, like I see who you're copying here." And then one day, I was doing one of my prompts through ChatGPT, and I had spit back. I'm like, "Okay, like what do you think about this? Would this be better?" And it was like, I love that. And I was just
It
like, oh God.
listens to, huh?
I'm
It
like,
has
because at
ears.
some at some point, right? Because I'm treating it like I'm having a conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
probably at some point I kept being like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
Right.
But what do we think about this?
Yeah.
So yeah, it absolutely cracks me up but again, it's like treating it as you would a
Hmm.
human that's sitting beside you is very different than handing over your work to someone and saying, here, do this.
Yeah. I like that idea though. I do need practice with my deep POV, and there's probably other stuff like like if you're having problems writing dialogue, what's a good prompt for dialogue? And, yeah, I mean, I think that's super helpful because we don't have a writing teacher to get into contact with, or even a writing
Yeah.
coach or whatever. I mean, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, if you're not very comfortable with it, you don't have to use your current work. You can, create something or ask it to create something for you. If you're never going to use it, then it doesn't really matter, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
ask it to give you an example of something that you can use to work on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a suggestion or like as a point of that, like asking it where you can improve and those kind of things too, is so I did the 80,000 words of here's my world, here's all this stuff. And then I gave it my prologue and I said, what do you think of this? And so it just spit out, here's three things that are strengths. And then it's like, hey, here's four suggestions with like specific examples from your prologue that I feel like you could tighten up a bit. And it's like, oh, hey, cool, thanks.
Yeah, and it's like the nice thing about that too is that like you had said earlier, Bob, like you're not waiting to get that back. So you can respond right away and say, why does that paragraph seem like it's slowing the pacing?
Mm-hmm.
And then you learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love point three that it gave me though. It said, consider pacing the kill scene for maximum impact. Thank you.
Maximum impact. Yeah, that's fun. All right. Well, I think this was a fantastic topic because we all have lots of questions. I hope we answered a lot of them for you. But, you know, use it. I would say go ahead and jump in there and use it as a tool, like we're asking you to, but not to write the book for you. Write me a book. Write me a thriller, involving a single mom and a crazy neighbor. Like maybe what would be a good plot point or something like that. Yeah, sure, okay, but yeah, write it yourself, okay, lazy.
Now, I will say you could have it like do that just once, like to see what it comes out like. Hey, like write the first chapter and like look at it and go, oh, okay, like just to get an idea. Like, I don't think it hurts anybody to know what it looks like.
Sure,
Don't
sure.
use it, but
Yeah,
like,
don't publish that.
yeah, exactly. But like, it is kind of nice to know where it sits, where it like what its capabilities are. I don't think there's anything wrong with fiddling around with it to just feel out where it is.
Hmm.
Now, as I said, the idea of taking sentences from it is like existential horror, and I write horror, and like I don't like it.
Yeah. So we we're going to do a fun segment here with our AI. Bob's wonderful idea. I think it was Bob's idea, or maybe it was Austin's idea. I don't know. It wasn't
Who
mine.
knows? Maybe it's
Um,
ChatGPT's.
are we ready to do that? Our little chat experiment?
Yeah.
I just did that. So I'm on Chat GPT. It's AI. We're friends now. I wrote, "What's a good ending segment for a writing podcast?" And it's giving me a big list. Um, Offer a short writing prompt or challenge related to the episode. Ooh, I like that.
Mm.
Writer's challenge. So what mine was offer, and we're all going to do this. So every Austin and Holly are going to write their own, ending. What's a good ending question, segment question. So mine would be offer a short writing prompt or challenge related to the episode. A 300-word scene where a character receives. Oh wait. Example: your challenge this week: write a 300-word scene where a character receives a letter that changes everything. No expositions, just dialogue and action. Go. That is so freaking cool. I love it. So that would be my ending segment
Okay,
for you.
so my prompt, mine came back with, I mean, I guess I don't need to read the whole prompt, but came back with the last line.
Okay.
Each episode should end with improvising the last line of a story that doesn't exist yet. And listeners can imagine what the whole story is from your one sentence.
Oh,
Wow.
And just
so
make it as evocative as possible. That's pretty
That's
good.
so freaking amazing, dude. That is. See what fun we can have with AI. This is what you.
But see, it's just
use it
prompting
for.
you to come up with
Right.
ideas. Which
Yeah,
is great.
you're the guy. Yeah, you're the one that needs to come up with the actual story. What do you have, Holly?
So my prompt, I'm. This is probably why my Chat GPT says weird shit to me. Um, so my prompt was, at the end of the segment, we always answer a question based on our topic. For AI, what should the question be that I answer? Make it a good one and only one. Don't be naughty and give me more. And so I just hit enter.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, your prompt is so different. I should have read my prompt.
This
It's
is so
different.
lame. No, see,
What is
this is so lame.
Okay.
It says, if you had to give one piece of advice to writers worried about AI, what would it be?
Oh,
Let's
wow.
say, that's
Okay, so-
lame. Make it fun.
While you're doing that, I will read what my prompt is that came up with the last line thing. So
Okay.
I said, "Hey, I'm doing a writer podcast, and I need a good ending segment. Usually a question thing or something. What's a good one?"
Let's see. Gave me another lame one. Okay. Yes. All right. See, this is what I'm talking about.
There we
So it gave me so I said, that's lame, make it fun. And it said, if AI could take over one annoying part of the writing process forever, what would you happily hand over? And I said,
Wow.
also lame was my following prompt. And it says, all right, let's crank it up a notch.
It really is taking on you.
If AI tried to steal your author crown, how would you duel it for the throne?
Wow.
And I'm like,
wow.
thank
There
you.
go. There
That's
you go.
better.
That's better. Good AI. Now go to bed.
And then let's say,
Okay.
I don't
Now,
know.
here's the question:
What's
are
the
we actually going
answer?
to do any of these ending segments, or is this our whole ending segment?
It's like just fun examples. All of them are really good, though. I mean,
I
we
really
can.
like that last line one though. I'm gonna-
Yeah, that last line. Last line was
Aw,
what Holly did.
cute. So I asked, it says, how would you duel it for the throne? And I said, I don't know. What's the answer? And it says, with words, obviously. AI can juggle data, but it can't bleed onto the page the way a writer can. My duel wouldn't be about speed or perfect grammar. It'd be about heart, voice, and the messy human truth that only comes from living. That's a fight AI can't win.
Wow. I like AI.
I'm writing sci-fi. You don't know. It's going to get there.
It's gonna get there. We should all have our own AI short stories or something. I don't know.
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be crazy.
As another
Um,
test, I did have it portray a main character for a story I'm not going to write and just be like, hey, how would you respond to this? But it was an AI character, like it's a robot character. So I was like, this is very fitting. Let me see what the robot thinks of this robot in this situation. It did not appreciate it.
Okay, I said one with Eldritch. I'm getting carried away now. Eldritch horror for Austin, and it says the answer is, oh, I'd summon something older and weirder than its code, an unspeakable plot twist from the dark between the stars. The AI would glitch trying to comprehend it, tentacles everywhere, and while it's screaming in binary madness, I'd sit back on its throne with a smug grin and a whiskey.
A smug grin and whiskey.
I do include whiskey a lot in my stories.
Oh, there you
knows
go.
me.
It knows
Actually,
you,
I've
man.
gotten a lot more specific, and I'm like, he's sipping on some rye because we're gonna be spicy over here.
I like it. Actually, that's really funny because I've noticed when I'm writing, I always just call it like an amber liquid. And I'm like, I think sometimes in my brain, I get stuck on what people say, like, oh, it's supposed to be like in the old times. So they didn't have XYZ liquors then. And I'm like, but also they didn't have werewolves or fairies, but here we are.
Okay. Here's the thing. So what is vodka? Do you know? Potatoes. Did you know that vodka predates potatoes being in Russia?
Wow.
What was it made out of?
Wheat.
Wheat. Ah, well, they get lots of
And
wheat
other
there.
stuff. It was basically a high alcohol beer, I believe is what it was.
Huh.
Cool.
And if anybody's interested in it, there's a 2-part episode on
On next week's podcast.
on another podcast because I needed to know the answer, and so there's answers out there.
There we go. Yeah, we'll have like a subtopic of you know. And now for our subtopic is what to drink when you can't stand your writing. Go ahead.
To be fair, we probably do need to have a whole segment about if it's okay in like speculative fiction or like especially second world fiction to use words like whiskey or bourbon or earth.
Or earth. Okay.
This is true.
Yeah.
Going back to your question, Austin, I do think that it would be really fun for us all to answer one of the prompts. And it also would be really fun for us all to do that short story. I think that would be hilarious just to see what it comes up with.
Yeah.
And we should do it. We should make it a challenge, and everyone else can do this challenge too. And the challenge is that you can only give it 3 prompts. So type your prompt, hit enter. You can type another prompt, hit enter, and then you can tweak it one last time, and that's it. So you get 3, chances to get it to what you want, and then that's it.
Now, what's the story? What's the challenge?
What's the story prompt?
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, I
do we have to? Do you want to have a specific one to see how different they are?
I want to see what we all come up with the same
Okay.
idea. Like, so we have to prompt it in a specific way based off of the prompt that we give them.
Okay.
I'm going to write this down.
Okay. So do you want to come up with the prompt, or you
Yeah.
want to?
Holly.
Oh, I don't want to come up with it. Austin looks like he's got one ready, so let's.
No, I was just thinking about, because we do this. Richie's channel does this a lot on the Discord, so I was thinking about some of the ones we've had on there as writing prompts before.
Is there a genre involved? Mystery, fantasy, probably fantasy, I guess, since that's what
let's do a short story that combines romantasy, steampunk, and eldritch horror.
Okay, it's our 3 genres.
It's our 3 genres. Okay, well, we got this.
I hope you appreciate how much thought I put into that. It took me a second to get it out.
All I could think about was the one that I really enjoyed from Richie's was about a magical world where whenever you killed somebody, you took over the remainder of their lifespan.
Oh my gosh.
And I wrote a story about a person who worked as a mechanic at an auto shop.
Very exciting. All right. Prompt is short story combining romantasy, steampunk, eldritch horror. All right.
Okay.
We'll see. How many words? 10,000 words or less? something like that.
We can do flash fiction. It can be like
Okay.
3,000 words or
3,000.
less.
Yeah,
3,000.
I like that.
And then they should all come join the Discord and drop it in there.
Yeah. If you're not on our Discord, I don't know how to get you there, but I will include a link. Please check our links on our YouTube channel. They're also on Podbean, so I will include a link to our Discord, and please join us. And I'll actually put it. Yeah, we got to put it up. I'll add it to our on there as a rating challenge prompt.
Yeah,
that sounds
and when
fun.
uploading it, you should upload your prompts as well. So just the whole conversation thread, so that we can see that you didn't cheat to get it good faster.
No cheaters.
We'll see who can win the AI tool to write for
Right.
you. The exact thing we told you not to do.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. It's going to be a good exercise so that everyone can see how terrible it actually is.
I like this.
Well, I'm just gonna have to make sure it comes out baller then.
Yeah. So 3,000 words or less. Flash fiction combining romantasy, steampunk, and eldritch horror.
I'm gonna write like an 8,000 word prompt.
Yeah, I know you will. That sounds fun. I like that. All right, so that'll be our challenge of the week or something. I don't know what to call that. Right, we'll just writing challenge. I'll just have to create it. I'm doing all this as I'm recording, and there's these poor people
don't
listening
worry.
to me
We can-
tapping away here. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is fantastic content." So, writing
Almost
challenge.
as good as us sitting and thinking about things.
Yeah, it's just a step above. All right. Okay, well, that's fantastic. I love this. This is why we have a.
I love that.
Yes, love that. Love that.
Love
that. Super excited.
How
we
about?
have to make sure that we include that in our vernacular now.
I was
Bob.
going to say that. Love that.
Love that.
Love that.
What if I said lovely instead?
Lovely.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely. All right. Okay, I think that's it. Anything else? Anyone have anything else?
No.
Before we let these poor people go? All right. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Please, I will include the link to our Discord. Please join, jump in the writing challenge. It's going to be fun. We want to have fun. All of us will be there, including our stuff. So look for more of that. I think that's fantastic, Holly. Maybe every single podcast we can include that. So don't forget to write to our channel. Why are you laughing?
It won't be AI every time, Holly. Just
No, it won't be AI every time. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels at the links below so you don't miss any of the Writer's Realm content. We always love to hear from our listeners. So if you have a question or topic you want us to dive into, please get in touch. Until then, keep writing without AI.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.